Hello everyone, I'm NTom64.
I'm the Flameclaw.
And I'm X-Gamer Richy.
And welcome to the first of our October/Halloween playthroughs, because they ain't nothing scarier than a janky Sonic game. This is, of course, Shadow the Hedgehog. And as you can probably tell, this was Flame's choice. Flame, why do you do these things to us?
Because, despite as much as there is very obviously wrong with this game, I actually really do quite like it a lot.
Oh my god. Okay guys, before we talk about anything else, show of hands, thumbs up, thumbs down, somewhere in the middle, Shadow the Hedgehog, Richy.
I've never played it, so I can't really comment on that.
Well, you can still judge things using, Let's Plays and whatnot. That's what everyone else tends to do nowadays.
Well, from Let's Plays, it looks like it may play somewhat okay, but level design seems appalling. The edge is just ridiculous, and the story seems...
Yeah, okay, we'll give it a tentative, thumbs in the middle then. Flame, I would assume it's a thumbs up from you.
Yes.
Somebody's getting kicked out of the group after this playthrough is done. But anyway, from me, and I know it's weird to do a conclusion at the start of the playthrough, but I just wanted there to be, complete transparency here. Because we were kind of all over the place with Lost World, and I didn't want you guys watching this playthrough thinking oh, they're saying positive stuff, but at the end it's going to be, oh, table flipped, negative stuff. No, I don't really like Shadow the Hedgehog. I actually went back and forth on whether or not I really disliked it over the years, and in the end I've just got to come to terms with the fact that it's a more janky version of Sonic Heroes, which we will talk about as we go through the game.
Oh yes.
Anywho, Shadow the Hedgehog came out in 2005. I believe it was some kind of misguided attempt to appeal to the Western fan base. Is that true, Richie? Do you have the deets on hand?
I don't have the deets on hand, but I do vaguely remember the basic things. So I think they always wanted to do a spin-off with one of Sonic's friend characters.
Oh, yeah.
And I think they ended up settling on Shadow, either just before or just after they sent out a poll to people. If you watch the Did You Know Gaming on Shadow, that has quite a few of the details on that. But yeah, so then they wanted... I think there'd been a lot of fan requests for Sonic to use a gun.
Oh my god.
Because, of course, that is exactly what you want your blue hedgehog running about really quickly to use. And
yeah,
obviously...
I'm so glad Yuji Naka got my fan.
You're the reason we have Shadow. You're the reason!
So, obviously... Sega were never going to allow Sonic to have a gun. However, obviously in Sonic Adventure 2 they created this rather painfully edgy character called Shadow.
Well, no, let me stop you there. In SA2 he wasn't that edgy.
Well, that's true.
Well, his colour scheme definitely was. Red and black screams Reaper from Overwatch, for God's sake. But personality-wise, he was a bit more grumpy than anything else.
Yeah, but... when you give him a gun, it doesn't look quite so out of place.
Oh, yeah, put him on a bootleg t-shirt or something, those Looney Tunes gangster things you could get back in the day.
So they ended up giving Shadow a gun and making this game, and obviously it was met with a resounding, what the hell is this crap?
Yeah, well, Flame here is living proof that some people do like the game. We're not going to spend the entirety of the playthrough shitting on the people who like it. That's unfair. If you like the Shadow the Hedgehog, our criticisms going forward are not aimed at you, just mostly at Flame. So Flame, talk us through, what is the deal with Shadow the Hedgehog, the game, not the character, story-wise? This is the finale of the Adventure Saga, after all, but why exactly?
Well, this is the part where they decided to sort of explore Shadow's origins a little bit, which is debatable whether that's something that was necessary or not, but really it's... I'm not going to deny, there is a lot of stupid shit in this, but to me it's endearing stupid shit. The idea that, Shadow's got some kind of connection with these black aliens, and, that's... The whole game's basically after Shadow lost his memory at the end of SA2 and the start of Heroes and all that. This is Shadow trying to find answers. Which, yes, it is very out of the edge, but well, we'll roll with it.
Now, the one thing I will give Shadow the Hedgehog credit for, again, the game, not the character, man, this is going to get confusing, is the root system. Now, in Sonic Heroes, you basically play through the game 4 times in the exact same level order, and that was way too, like, samey and repetitive. So I guess they thought for this one, hey, we're making the player play through the game like 10 times, which is a bit much and something I'll probably rag on the game for later. But at least you go through things in a different level order. And the way we're doing things here is we'll be playing through the game 3 times. We'll be taking the neutral route to start off with, which basically amounts to you getting through the level, going from A to B, and getting like the Chaos Emerald at the end, or just reaching the goal. The true hero route, in which you're like a goody-goody, and you know you help the good characters like Sonic and Tails, and then the true dark or evil route, in which you basically like help the Black Arms or blow up the president and stuff like that. And after that, we'll play Last Story, and that is basically, you know, our abridged version of Shadow the Hedgehog again, the game, not the character.
Oh, just think about having an abridged version of the character. It would just be like, Maria!
Damn, you're going straight to hell.
When you say 10 routes, that's 10 possible, like, final endings you can get to before you have the true last story. In terms of actual combinations, there's actually 326 possible orders you could go in.
My fucking Christ. I have, like, the official Shadow the Hedgehog guide, or had. It may have been thrown away at some point. Possibly because it was infecting me with a dark curse that made me want to swear all the time. But, yeah, I remember reading, like, there's over 300, and it was like, oh, Shadow goes to the cinema. Shadow goes to get a 99 with a flake, and I'm like, are you taking the piss? Shadow rides a motorbike one-handed. It's like, what is this bullshit?
Yeah, you might have noticed there was a car earlier that I just ran past for good reason, because the car's in this,
Yeah, you can ride vehicles in this game. There's like realistic cars, which kind of make me uncomfortable. There's like alien vehicles, I believe. But the motorbike is obviously the best one, and it just made the most sense to bring it back in 06, where it handled about as well.
Yes.
You would have hoped, you know, they would have tried to improve the driving, but no. I say also having never played Sonic 06, so yeah, this is the bit of Sonic where I kind of hadn't really played much at all.
This was like the middle sort of dark era of Sonic though, wasn't it? Because there was like the sweet fuck all happening between 3 and K, and eventually, you know, all the sort of dead air between that. Then you had the rough shit in the mid-2000s with, you know, the odd little spark. Like, obviously I like this despite being bad, but also stuff like Black Knight's good and that. But then you've got the modern dark age where it's like, whoop-de-doo, Sonic Boom, and a few mobile games, who cares?
I wouldn't really call that a dark age, because at least Sonic Runners, despite all, you know, the free-to-play crap, was received positively.
Yeah, it's just for what Sonic's known as, it's just so, it feels like a very lightweight Sonic presentation.
Well, it's dead now, so who gives a shit, really? Why did this guy have that fucking thing that Yuna has in FF10 and X2?
I have no frame of reference for that. I take it you're on about the stupid goofy eyes.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. It's probably just because you get flashbacks to him, and it's probably just to make it clear that it's the same guy. I don't know.
So, the terminology that you're looking for is heterochromia.
That's the one.
So there's actually multiple different types of heterochromia, actually. So there's complete heterochromia, which is where the iris of one eye is a completely different colour to the iris of the other. You've got partial, which I think is just where you've only got a bit of the eye that's a different colour. And then there's also sectoral, which is where part of one iris is a different colour from its remainder.
Basically, it's just a cheap way of, you know, giving the character a unique look. And that was Black Doom back there. He is the leader of the Black Arms, you know, Force faction, whatever you want to call it. And he is voiced by Sean Schemmel, he of Goku fame.
Wasn't he Lucario too?
Yeah.
That's the one I remember. I don't watch Dragon Ball, but I know Lucario because I highlight that film.
Yeah. That's movie 8, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, the stuff with the aura and whatnot.
Yes.
Speaking of voices, we should probably get this out of the way now. Shadow the Hedgehog onwards until like Black Knight, around that time, is when the 4Kids cast took over. So you have like Jason Griffith voicing Sonic and Shadow. You have, you know, Mike Pollock is voicing Eggman and so on. And I like Jason Griffith as Sonic. I think he really came into his own with like Unleashed and Black Knight.
Yes.
I've never really been a fan of his work as Shadow. That's not to say I dislike it, but I think was it Humphrey played him in SA2 in Heroes?
I recognise that name, so yeah.
Yeah, I much preferred his lilting tones, but I don't know. I feel he's trying a bit too hard as Griffith for Shadow.
I don't know, I think that Griffith's Shadow, it seems like a sort of safe in the middle Shadow, because like Humphrey's Shadow worked well for how Shadow was in SA2, and I also have the frame of reference of Shadow's modern actor, the "You got this, Sonic," which is really not appropriate for the role at all.
Kirk Thorne's kind of like the middle ground between Humphreys and Griffith, so, you know. Anywho, Glyphic Canyon. We kind of skipped over Westopolis, it's just your basic city level. Sets the tone for Shadow the Hedgehog, the game as a whole. You know, it's dark, everything's exploding, you know, there's aliens everywhere. Good stuff. This is more of your traditional kind of like ruins level, and again, since we are, you know, taking the neutral path, all we gotta do is get to the end. Anything special we can look out for here, Flame?
Well, there's the giant fucking tornado things that are flinging these things at you. That's why I'm just sort of shooting as I'm running along. It like just, it might look goofy and it might slow me down, but it's better than getting a massive lump of like bricks smacking me in the face.
How were you with retakes when it came to this particular playthrough?
Well, this one, I just came to terms with the fact that the control is shit and it's going to defeat me no matter what. So I didn't try to like perfect it or anything, but I just like, as long as I didn't die and I didn't take too long, like, you know, fair enough.
Yeah, that's why I eventually grew out of like, you know, no-hit running Sonic games, because it was with Unleashed that I kind of developed this OCD streak that I've had for the past few years. I'm much better about it nowadays, but oh boy, I love Unleashed. Something Fierce, the HD version. Flame likes the Wii one, and I guess we'll get into that at some point. But it's really janky as well. As much as I love it, it's super jank. But Richy, how do you feel about the visual design of Shadow so far? And I'm mostly going to be like giving you questions like that, because obviously I can't ask you how you feel about like the levels play out and so on, because you haven't physically played it yourself.
Yeah, well, I mean, the visual style, it's basically Heroes, but dark. Mm-hmm. And that's not necessarily exactly where you want to be, because Heroes isn't the best looking Sonic game ever, because everything just looked really plasticky. It's one of the biggest complaints I've always seen about the Heroes engine anyway, is that the character models just look really, really shiny.
Yeah, I can agree with that. The thing with Heroes is, you know, all bright and colourful in the style of the classic games, and then you get to Shadow, where like a lot of the brightness is muted until you get to stages like the Casino one or Digital Circuit, where it'll just blow the retinas right out of your eyeballs. It's kind of crazy, really.
Yeah.
But on the other end of the spectrum, they use like really dark, like yellows and browns and greens and purples, and I suppose it looks okay, but that's not really what I come to like a game about bright, colourful cartoon animals for. And I suppose I'm letting like personal preference get in the way of stuff. I don't want to be whining about it too much, because there are some levels I do enjoy in terms of like aesthetics and whatnot, like Lava Shelter. The aforementioned Digital Circuit, bright as it is pretty fun to go through, you know, from a visual standpoint. And that was Glyphic Canyon. There you go. Sorry, I didn't mean to end things awkwardly, but what can I say? We're HFC, and that's how we do things here. So we have 3 emeralds now, guys. How many more will we get in the next part? Maybe Black Doom will just hand them all over. Who knows? Come back next time for another episode of Shadow the Damn Hedgehog.